Welcome to the Pliant How-To series. I'm Dave Hegenbarth, and today we're going to look at what makes up a block that you can use to drive automation in the Pliant platform. On the screen, you see we already have our first block. This is what we call an assign block. Blocks are typically in one of two categories. They're either action blocks, meaning they do something, or control blocks, meaning that they can control the flow of your automation. If I go to my favorite folders, I have a few blocks that I've tagged as ones that I use quite often. We can see here an assign block, and if I hover over the little dot, it's listed as an action block. We can then look at this block, which is a for each block, and it's listed as a control block. This helps me loop through data. And then I have a couple of vendor blocks here, one from Science Logic and one from Datadog. Each of these are also action blocks. If I drag and drop block onto the screen, we'll see that all of our blocks have a very common structure. First, they have a name. So I could come in here and rename this block. Maybe I want it to be more intuitive. Tasks, maybe. And when I change that, it will also change a couple of attributes I'll show you in a minute. The auth key. Well, almost all action blocks will have an authentication key. Not quite true for the assign block, but in this case I have my authentication key. And then a body block. So this is where we list out the rest of the parameters that might go along with this particular method or API call. And when I click into the body, you can see on the right here that we bring up the object editor. If I go and fill in a particular field in the object editor, it will go ahead and then create the necessary JSON within this body. You can type your own JSON, or you can let the form fill it out for you. Lastly, we have a down chevron in the right-hand corner, and this allows us to see what the result of this particular block is going to be. And so we have basically a variable here called tasks, list tasks. You'll see it alters itself to be the name of the block, .auth key or .result. This is just going to tell us, the auth key will tell us it authenticated correctly. The list task result will give us the results that we want, and we could use the assign block to assign those to a variable. If I grab a Datadog block, you're going to see, very much like Science Logic, the same structure. So I can name the block up here. I have my authentication key that I'll fill in here. And then I have some other piece of information I might need to fill in, which I can then again use the object editor for. And it'll go ahead and put that in the block. And lastly, the down chevron allows us to understand what value will be returned from this particular block. So that's a quick look at action and control blocks that you drag and drop to create automation in Pliant.